Alright, let's do my July wrap up because I'm a little disappointed in myself, but at the same time, you know, you take the wins with the losses. Don't you wanna have fun? Fool around someone. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tamika and today I'm going to be sharing all of the books that I read in July. This month's wrap up is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie and sit here and tell you that it's not a weird mixture of things. I participated in Summerween. This is one of the first months where I've not had manga in a long time. Let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about a thriller. It's The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I went pretty in depth about this in one of my Summerween vlogs, but I'll just say that I wasn't happy with it. Like, I didn't hate it. It could have been worse, but it was also just not what I wanted. So essentially with this one, we are following our heroine who is a failing actress, or she's in recovery because she has went through some really tough stuff. So she is really struggling through that. She is an alcoholic and she struggles with that throughout the story. And we essentially find her becoming obsessed with our other character, who is the woman who lives across the road from her, or across the lake from her. She becomes obsessed with her, and it's her trying to figure out a mystery of what happens to this woman because she ends up going missing. And you find that out in the beginning of the book, and you're just trying to figure out what is actually going on. Where is this woman? And what's up with our heroine? What is up with our main character? I don't have a lot to say about it. My biggest complaint with this is Riley Sager did that thing where he wrote a paranormal element into his thriller. I just don't really like that. I'm kind of over that whole trope, because if it's going to be paranormal, I would much rather be reading either a romance or a horror book. So it just doesn't really work for me in thrillers, so I just typically don't like it. So it was fine. It's not the worst Riley Sager I've ever read, but it also is not the best one. It is not anywhere near the top. It is probably the second worst. So if I had to tier rank him, it would be Survive the Night down here, Across the Lake right here. So that's kind of where I sit with it. It's not the worst. It's definitely not the best. I give it a 3.5, like right solidly in the middle. It was fine, you know? Then I read a bunch of horror. I read a couple titles. I actually read 4 horror titles to be exact, and I'm only gonna be talking in depth about 3 of them. So first of all, we have Tinders the Flesh. I'm not going to talk a lot about this book because I do have a specific video that this is going to be in that you all will be seeing in the near future. This was fantastic. I give this 5 stars. Tinders the Flesh is quite literally one of the best books I've ever read. It is disgusting. It is gruesome. It is so hard to put down. It is very disturbing. The entire topic is just completely and utterly insane, and it just really makes you think about the idea of what it's like for us to consume animals, and what if the shoe was on the other foot. So essentially in this world we have a dystopian type setting where we are eating humans. Like, humans are bred and contained and then killed as meat, and it's called special meat. They can't eat animals because animals were carrying this very contagious and deadly disease. So they ended up having to put all of their animals down and also not being able to eat animals anymore. Therefore, either they have to be vegan or they have to end up eating the special meat. It's a very disturbing, it's a very dark concept. As a horror lover, this was fantastic. It was everything I could have wanted it to be. And the last part of this book, like the ending, literally made me stop and be like, what just happened? Like, what? Like, what was that? It was so good. I recommend it so much. I literally could not put into words how much I enjoyed this, because it was just the wildest ride in the best way humanly possible, and I will never shut up about this. I said I wasn't going to go into depth about that, but there I went. Also, we have Bloodbath. This one, oh my god. This is about a woman who's a serial killer who likes to bathe in her victim's blood. I can't tell you much else other than she ends up being contracted by someone and ends up killing people for contract. This one is so messed up, it's unreal. Like, the amount of stuff that this author was able to cram in such a short story, and it just worked. Like, our heroine was so unhinged. She quite literally was killing people left and right, did not blink an eye. I will say she is one of those characters who has a motivation of killing people who are wrong or in the wrong in some way. So she does kill people who deserve it, which I don't always love that. I don't always love the, oh, she's a woman and she's a serial killer, but she's justified because she's killing bad people. Like, I just want our women to be unhinged for the sake of being unhinged, and I want that to be normalized. I mean, I really enjoyed this though. I will say this was a 4-star read. I listened to this and the audiobook was so good. 100% was worth me picking up, and I will be reading more from this author. I also picked up There Are Monsters Here, which I did get from Kindle Unlimited. This book is by Cameron Chaney, who is a booktuber. He is a horror booktuber. He also is a horror author. He is one that I really enjoy watching. I just think he is precious, and I want his library. It is perfect. It's everything I could ever want. This one is not a gruesome or dark or anything like that. This is more of a psychological horror where you're kind of just in the head of someone who is really trying to, you know, go through the motions and live their life. The main idea behind this one is that everyone has these monsters, and the monsters are always with you, and they go out of their way to either cause you some sort of distress or just to kind of like be there and not really give you any kind of joy. It's just there to like mock you in a way, I guess is the best way to describe it. And this is literally a story of a guy who ends up killing his monster. And that is what you're reading. You are reading how he got to the point of how he killed his monster. It is a novella. It's very short, but it was so good. I definitely will be reading more from Cameron Chaney. He is a fantastic writer, and he gave me exactly what I wanted. I was on the edge of my seat trying to just trying to figure out what was going to happen with our hero. Then we have Horror Hotel, which is a YA horror book, which I don't read a ton of YA or a ton of middle grade. I do lean very heavily in adult fiction just because I don't really relate to younger characters, and I really struggle to read those books and connect with them and really, you know, care, I guess is the best way to say it. I felt like this one had a big fault of it was very easy to confuse the characters. It was very easy for this ensemble cast in the audiobook specifically to really blend together and just not really have a distinct voice. I don't really say that is on the author. I say that's on the audiobook and the way that the narration was done. It's just all of the voices were very, very similar, and it was very hard to really distinguish who was who and when chapters changed. One thing that I did really like about this one was the concept of having a character who is essentially like a medium and them going to a haunted hotel. I really like the setting of a haunted hotel. I also really liked that they were paranormal investigators and they were YouTubers. I thought it was just a really interesting concept. Honestly, you give me a YouTuber in a book, you give me a YouTuber in a movie, and I'm very interested and I'm very invested. I just love YouTube, and obviously I have a channel. That's what I do. But I also just genuinely love the watching behind the scenes. I just really like seeing how these writers make their characters. So this one, everything worked except for that part. So just because it was not very easy to follow in that sense, and because I didn't love it as much as I normally would, this is a 4-star, but it had all of the right boxes to be a 5-star. It's just a couple things really messed it up for me. Now let's talk about the romances that I did read in the month. I read quite a few. I'm not too mad with the ones I did get through, so I'm gonna run through a couple of them pretty quickly. I did read Sidetracked, which is the second book in the Mindfuck series, and I loved this second installment. I really am enjoying this series. I need to continue the series. I am still reading Scarlet Angel. I just haven't had a chance to like sit down and continue reading that because I have had Alexa read that to me. I've just really been enjoying having Alexa read that series to me. So it's just, I need to get back to it. It's not a, I don't want to be reading it or I'm bored. It's literally, I just need to get back to it. If you are new and you did not see, we started this series in June with Bree for the Taboo Book Club, which is the book club that I run and host. I love this series. We're following a female serial killer. She does it because she's getting revenge, and I just want her to be unhinged. You know, I want to support women's wrongs, and that's all I gotta say about it. Then we have Dating Dr. Dale, which was one that I struggled to finish. This one was really good too, though. This one is a fake dating, and this one we're following two characters who, you know, for the better lack of word, have a very bad first interaction. They are very attracted to one another, and then something happens, he ends up ditching her, and she really can't get over it, and she ends up seeing him on his TV show, because in his TV show he is this celebrity who, you know, who doesn't believe in love. He only believes in arranged marriages and like marriages of convenience. He doesn't really believe like in the idea of love. You know, he really believes that love is kind of like a fictional concept. And our heroine really wants a love marriage, and they decide to end up fake dating because he needs to get money for his show to end up getting this building to start a practice, and she needs money to buy her mother's house that her father is putting on the market. This is a really cute story. I really enjoyed this one as well. I don't have a ton of like in-depth thoughts. I did give this one, I think, a 3.75. It was really, really good. The problem was I just struggled to get back to it. I struggled to kind of circle back around and end up reading it. I just kept putting it down and reading and reaching for other things. So I did struggle with staying like attentive to it and like wanting to get back to it. But the characters were really cute, and like the story premise and the whole idea really, really worked for me, and I would definitely recommend this to someone who is looking for a really good fake dating. Then I read Flesh, which is a book that I honestly just did not anticipate enjoying as much as I did. This is a zombie apocalypse story. Now I know what you're thinking, Tamika, you love spooky shit. That sounds right up your alley. Yes, but it's insta-love, and I have found that when I have read zombie books in the past that are romances, I just have not liked them. This one in particular just really did it right for some reason. I don't know what happened, but I was just like, okay, I'm in. I like this. I listened to the audiobook of this one, and I honestly was so sucked into this so quickly, and I don't know how that managed to happen, but it did. I literally could not put this down. Like, it was a roller coaster of me just like falling in love with these characters. We essentially have two characters who are at the beginning of the story, our heroine and our hero, and they have an instant love, instant lust connection with one another, which in this scenario, it makes sense. You've been away from people for a long time and you've not seen another human. I honestly can believe that the first human you're remotely attracted to, you're gonna want to be all over them. I get it. I can see that aspect. It worked for me. And they do end up introducing a secondary character that is another part of their like love triangle. But it's like polyamorous, so they're a throuple. So we have like multiple, two partners for one girl. It is fantastic. They cherish her. They cherish her, and I love that. I love it when the characters cherish their love interest. It's so good. It is so good. I also read Hot Ghost. This one is a very short story, and it's literally about a girl who ends up dying and becoming a ghost, and two ghosts fall in love. I can't tell you anything else. It's a short story, but it is so cute, and I literally wanted to squeeze the shit out of them because I was just like, you are grumpy, beyond grumpy, and you are a brat. And then they got together. I loved it. I loved it. And the last book that I read was A Queen of Ruin. This was the last book in the Dark Fairy Tales series that I have been reading, and I love this fantasy romance series. It is so stinking good. I can't tell you a lot. Let me just say that it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It has dragons, it has shifters, there is a war against this kingdom, and it is literally up to our heroine and our hero to break the curse and save their people. And this is the last book in the series. It is the conclusion. I would almost say, if you want ACOTAR but with dragons, read this. It's not ACOTAR, but I got ACOTAR vibes. It was as consumable as ACOTAR, and it was smuttier. It was way smuttier. Lots more smut in here than in ACOTAR, but I love it. please go read it. I don't think that I'm ever going to shut up about it. So if you all don't go read it, I think I might implode. Those are all the books that I read in July. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite book was. And if you want to grab any of these, don't forget the links are down in my description. If you're still here, I don't want to do another dragon emoji. I literally just had a dragon emoji for the last one, but all I can think about is dragons. So if you don't leave me a dragon, I might cry. Leave a dragon or whatever kind of emoji you want down in the comments, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye, everyone.
Don't you wanna have fun? Don't you wanna have some fun? Yeah, these babies said that they don't got a future like